Cheryl Zondi was back on the stand in the rape and human trafficking trial of Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotoso. Now, yesterday, she detailed how she was raped while on international trips with the church. And let's get more details now. Lerato, Fekisi.
Cross-examination was really tough, to put it mildly for you. Peter Doberman, the defense lawyer, really came down hard on Cheryl Zondi, and like you're saying, the graphic content was what he was focusing on. Abongo, when he first started off his cross-examination, he first spoke about what he calls inconsistencies in her statement. He said that the first time she made a statement to Captain Brenda, who was the first person that she disclosed what was happening in terms of the police, she spoke about what was termed, and I have to use the specific words that she used, and she said that at that time there was that Omotoso had no penetration. And then in the second statement said the same thing. But in court yesterday, defense lawyer Peter Doberman said that she said in court that there was in fact penetration, but in her statements there wasn't at all. So Peter Doberman was asking, why is then she's telling the court one thing, but in all three of her statements, not once did any of the people that reported what happened, according to her, put that term that had penetrated her. She then went to state that perhaps the reason why it wasn't documented is that she stated that there was slight penetration, and she went to describe what that is. But Peter Doberman said that the fact that it wasn't written down cannot be put down as a charge that there was penetration by Omotoso. And then he went back to the issue of her going back to the house in 2019, where he said, you left the house in 2013, you left the church in 2013, and then you came back when you were 19. Why then did you go back to this man who you allege sexually assaulted you, go back to the same system of him molesting you if you knew exactly what was going to happen? And she said that she went back because she feared Omotoso. She revered him. And also she said that she wanted to go back and find closure because she thought that by going back to him, he'd somehow apologize, be remorseful for what he did. And she wanted to go back also because she said she missed the fellowship in the church. The one thing that Cheryl wanted to do more than anything else to become one of the top musicians in the church. And she missed that because she missed singing in the choir and she missed the gold that she sang with. But lo and behold, when she went back to Port Elizabeth, within the second day of her returning back now to the church, but obviously returning back to Omotoso, she was molested again. And Peter Doberman then asked, why did you go back? Because you knew by going back you were subjecting yourself to the same sexual assault. And she said, like I said earlier on, that she feared this man. He was very connected. She went as far as quoting that Omotoso in his church was connected to police officers. There were so-called reformed gangsters as part of his church. And she feared also that he would destroy her life, because she said that often at times Omotoso would say in church, the only way South Africans can learn their lesson is through death. And that kept on being a lingering thought in her mind, that if he says that and confesses this in church, then perhaps myself or my mom could die at his demise. So that's why she eventually went back. And then she spoke about how life was outside of the church and how life was when she went back, that nothing really changed. If anything, while she was there, she realized that now he was objectifying her. He kept on saying, you know what, you're old now, you've got to step up your game. You're not 13 anymore. You've got to do things better. You must be more experienced. And she kept on asking him, why must I do these things to get your approval? Why must I do these things to enter heaven, you say? And he said that because that's how it is, and you can't have your cake and eat it. So you must decide, either you comply with me or you face the consequences. And she kept on then going back to his room, having oral sex, sleeping with him, cleaning herself afterwards. Then they would pray in bed, and then the same thing would happen for about 5 months when she came back in 2019.
And, one of the things that is clear is that this possibly was difficult for her to endure today. And I wonder how her demeanor was in court, and is she done?
She literally, literally cried throughout her proceeding, especially at the times where the Peter Doberman would ask her why you would go back, because he kept on harping on that as to, I understand that you went back out of fear, but he would say, but you say that he was going to destroy your life or you're going to die, but between 2013 and 2015 when you went back, you didn't die. Your mom's life wasn't stagnant. In fact, your life was going on. So this fear that you had didn't happen, or the death that you alleged didn't happen. So why still go back when what he said or what you prophesied didn't come true? So she would break down and say, literally, I fear this man, and she would cry when she says that, because she would say, you don't understand how powerful this man and how connected he is. And she'd also go back, and also Peter Doberman would ask her, in terms of penetration, can you please describe what that is, and why would you say that it was there when it wasn't there? And she kept on crying, saying that I was only 14 and I was young, and should break down, I think obviously recording then what she alleged happens, and should break down and cry and say, I was only 14, I was 13, I didn't even know what penetration was, I didn't even know what sex was, but I saw this man as a godlike figure, as a father figure, and I thought he could save my life and make me the best singer, and I trusted him, and that's why I did what I did, but never once did I want to consent to doing that. And she kept on trying to emphasize that I didn't want it, but I feared him, I was young, I was 14 and naive, and I saw him as the key to the life that I wanted. So she cried throughout most of the testimony. Even after, when we left, when the proceedings ended at 4 o'clock, she was taken to a room, and all you heard was literally her bursting into tears. Every time there was a tea break, she'd go into the waiting room and burst into tears after that. But she is done. She has stepped off now. The defense and the state have no more questions, and then they'll bring their other witness on Friday.